Why is there still no main event for UFC 230? That fight is in 6 weeks? Is it 5 or 6 weeks? That fight is in 5 or 6 weeks. There is no main event. And I think it's because Jon Jones came out, you know, he came off of his little suspension or whatever. He's going to be off of suspension in like a week or something like that. And I think that every single person involved in the whole scenario, they want to make way more money than the UFC is ready to pay. That's why they're talking about Jon Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson for the 232 card, not for the 230 card. They're saying that for the 232 card because if they're going to pay big bucks for fighters, then they need to promote, right? They want time to kind of promote the fight a little bit. They don't want it to be short notice. They actually do not want it to be short notice. And also, I think they wanted it to be Jon Jones versus DC. I really do. But DC has definitely said no. He said no. He told USADA, do not call me. Stop calling me because I'm not picking up. I'm not picking up. I'm not pissing. So you can do whatever you need to do, but I'm not. That's a protest. I already called that one. That's him. He is making his protest. But it's interesting. Malky Kawa was on all of the shows on Monday, and he was basically saying that. He said, look, Jon Jones wants to fight for Malky Kawa. He speaks so fast. He sounds like a liar. He sounds like a person that's not telling the truth. It's just the way that he talks really, really fast. He speaks fast, and it's almost like he's rehearsed what he said. The exact same thing that he said on Ariel's show was the exact same thing that he said on the Luke Thomas show. It just sounds like he rehearsed it. Now, every once in a while, you get a good one-liner. You might repeat it you might repeat it a few times. But not verbatim. Something about Malky Kawa just seems sketchy. But what I'll say is, Malky Kawa said that Jon Jones wanted to fight for his belt. He wants his lightweight belt back. Who has the belt? DC. He said the UFC, well, you know, if DC doesn't want to fight, they need to talk to DC, but Jon Jones wants that belt back. Jon Jones desperately wants to fight DC again. And DC is over it. He actually is over it. The guy has popped twice. Two times that they were supposed to fight, he popped. You can say whatever you want to say. It was needles in the soup. You know, they put the needles in my soup. I don't know where it came from. I don't know how I popped. I don't know what it is. You can say whatever you want to say. He didn't really use steroids or an illegal substance or drug, basically. It's basically a drug. He didn't use that. He wasn't on anything. He's not, Jon Jones is a stand-up citizen. He's one of the greatest ever. He's the greatest of all time. Whatever you want to call him. It does not remove the fact that the guy has popped 3 times. Once for a performance-enhancing drug, once for an actual illegal steroid, and once for cocaine. Now, that wasn't popping, but cocaine came up in that drug test. Sometimes the evidence is damning. I don't care how much you like a guy, you want to support a guy, you want to support your people. Look, I really want to support my people. I do. I don't just want to. I go out and I do support my people. But sometimes the evidence is so damning that the only support that you can give now, the only support I can give to Jon Jones now is I hope that the guy gets help. I hope he gets better. I hope that his life can be rid of the black cloud that it's under currently. That's the only way that I can support the guy. And that's the only way that he should be supported. People should be saying, I hope that this guy or if you're a believer, you say, I hope and I pray that this guy can get from underneath the black cloud that is over him right now. Anybody saying anything else, if you're saying, no, Jon Jones didn't pop, you're not supporting him. You're not a fan. You're not a friend. You're not a fan. You're not a family member. You're not a supporter. All of those things, you're not. Because you're egging the problem on. You're an enabler. If you don't know for sure, which we don't know for sure, the evidence is damning, but Jon Jones and his whole team is saying, we didn't do it. 3 times in a row, we didn't do it. This is a guy who ran over, who hit and run a pregnant woman. Ran from the scene. Okay, so we're just going to say, we hope that Jon Jones, his whole life and his family, they can get rid of the black cloud that is currently hovering over them. And it's hovering over them, and it's opened up. That black cloud is opened up. So whatever is inside of a black cloud, whatever a black cloud carries, it's raining down on them. It's raining down on them. He was the biggest name in UFC. Before Conor came around, he was the biggest name in UFC. We are watching him tumble all the way to the bottom. The guy cannot get a fight. That's how bad it is. Jon Jones cannot get a fight. And I think it has to do with money. The UFC is tired of paying for him, right? They supported him through rehab. You know, Kawa said he went to rehab during this whole time off. He did go to rehab and try to clean himself up, and the rehab facility that he went to. The rehab facility said, I don't even know why you're here. Why are you here, dude? I don't get it. You don't need rehab. This is what a business, right? So rehab facilities are businesses who make money. They make money for having people come to their facility so that they can help them. The facility then said money walked in the door, business walked into the door, right? And Malki Kawa wants us to believe that facility then said, go back home. We don't need you. You don't need to be here. We cannot help you in any way possible. You are so amazing and great. Actually, you know what? Fill out an application. If you're not working at the UFC right now, do you mind doing any type of volunteer service for some of the people here? Because you could help them. It's just, I'm not sure what type of fool that they take us for, but I'm not buying it. I don't know if anybody else is, but I am not buying it. This is what I am buying. Jon Jones got away with one. He got away with one or two, but the problem is it's coming back to bite him in the ass. DC doesn't want to fight him. Alexander Gustafsson does want to fight him, and I can tell you Jon Jones does not want that fight. Jon Jones does not want that fight at all, period. He wants a big money fight. When Jon Jones beat DC back in July, the 2017 July, he called out Brock Lesnar. That's what he called out, Brock Lesnar, for the heavyweight, for the big time super heavyweight fight. So you telling me that he's excited about going back and fighting Alexander Gustafsson? You want me to believe that? Or do you want me to believe that they've put him back down into the ranks? They're putting him back through the ringer. They're telling him, you're not the top of the heap. You may feel like the top of the heap. You may look like the top of the heap. Everything that you have done in the octagon screams top of the heap, if not better. But you are a liability, such a liability to our fight cards that we're not going to pay you. And we're not giving you no great fight. Sorry, it's not happening. It's not happening. And that's why the UFC 230 card has no main event. It's a money dispute. It's a dispute about money. If they paid DC the exact same amount of money that he would make from Brock Lesnar, DC would get in there. DC would get right in there and fight Jon Jones. And also, I'm pretty sure DC wants his money up front. I'm sure he doesn't want show win. He wants both up front. I can bet you that. I bet you he wants a certain type of testing. I'm sure he wants I'm telling you, that guy's probably asking for the moon. He's literally asking for the moon. I want you to get that moon up out of that sky. Bring it to my daughter's birthday party. I want her to see the moon up close and personal. That's probably what he's asking for. And Jon Jones is probably asking for a mint as well. Everybody is trying to get paid, especially Jon Jones. He's been out for a while. Malki Kawa hasn't, his training facility hasn't made money. Jon Jones hasn't made money, and his management team hasn't made any money. They're trying to recoup those losses. They're trying to recoup all of those losses, and UFC is not down with it. That's why they're talking about Yoel Romero versus, who are they trying to put Yoel Romero against? Alexander Gustafsson. Right? Gus is the only guy who's not playing hardball. Gus is the only guy who's not playing hardball because he's not really business savvy. He's a great fighter, but he just isn't business savvy at all. If Alexander and also he may not even have the clout to be business savvy. If it's true that the UFC told Alexander Gustafsson to pull out, we don't want you to fight on this card because we want you to be ready for something big that we're going to be announcing very soon. If they knew that something was coming up, right? And Alexander Gustafsson said, okay, don't worry, I'll sit and I'll wait for Jon Jones. Then he is a fool. He is a fool to think that the UFC can promise you something and it's definitely going to happen. The UFC isn't in control of the UFC, right? They're in control to a certain extent, but they're not thoroughly in control insofar as people getting injured, people signing contracts, right? People wanting what they want to give them. You give Jon Jones and Alexander Gustafsson contract, he's sliding that thing back across the table. Excuse me. DC at lightweight, DC at heavyweight, or Brock Lesnar. I think that's it for Jon Jones. That's the only thing he wants. But this is why we don't have a main event. This is why we do not. And it's the fans that it's the fans that are feeling the pain from it. It's not going to be a great card because it has all of this speculation around it. It's like, what's going to happen? And also there's a big ass question mark for the main event. It has to be better than Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz used to be one of those guys that it was easy to book a fight that was bigger than a Nate Diaz fight. But then he went and he choked out Conor McGregor, right? He took it up a couple of notches. He took it up several notches. He's in a new arena. The air is crisp where Nate Diaz is at now. It's going to be interesting to see where all of the moving parts land because they're flailing in the air. They're flying all around in the air right now. But where are the pieces going to land for this card, for Jon Jones, for DC? Because Jon Jones, he wants a big fight. It looks like they're giving him Gustafsson. Same way that they gave him OSP. Gustafsson. Right? And DC is protesting against USADA. He's not doing it against UFC. He's protesting against USADA. And he started it well before all of this came out. When they were talking about him fighting Brock Lesnar and him fighting Jon Jones again after he became the heavyweight champ. After he became double champ, he said, we're going to need some testing, some real testing. He kept saying that in his press conferences. We're going to need some real testing. I mean, we're going to need some serious testing because I don't want to, and then he would say, I don't want to say anything bad about, I don't want to say anything bad about USADA or anything. Their testing is great, but we're going to need some more testing, some better testing. He started the protest then. The problem is Jon Jones got 15-month suspension and they pissed DC off. They really pissed him off now. He said, do not call me. He tweeted a picture of his phone with missed call from USA Anti-Doping Agency. Missed call. The tweet said, stop calling me at USADA. Oh, gosh. And all we want to do is see a good fight, man. All the fans want to do is see a good fight. But this is what we're getting, the shenanigans. Anyways, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.